Some souls carry a sound that the unseen can hear. It's not your voice, it's your remembrance. Every time you whisper your Lord's name, it burns through walls you cannot see. That's why life has felt heavier. The more light you carry, the louder your soul becomes in the unseen. And when you start glowing, darkness reacts. But don't be afraid, because that resistance is the sign. It means your story has reached the chapter where heaven begins to interfere. Stay with me till the end, because tonight you'll learn why the attack was never against you. It was against what you were born to awaken, the light that provokes darkness. There comes a time in every believer's life when the soul begins to stir again. You may not even notice it at first. It begins quietly, like a small spark, somewhere deep inside your chest. You start feeling uncomfortable in places that used to feel normal. You begin craving silence. The noise of the world begins to sound heavier than it ever did before. This is how awakening begins. And when your light starts to return, everything that once lived in darkness begins to notice. It is not you that changes the world around you. It is your energy that starts to rise above it. You'll sense a shift. People who once liked your company suddenly grow distant. Conversations that used to fill you with joy begin to feel empty. And you'll wonder, what's wrong with me? But nothing is wrong. Something holy is waking up inside you. Something ancient and pure. A reminder that you were never created for the mud of this world. The unseen world sees it long before you do. When your heart becomes clean, when your intentions become honest, your light expands beyond the physical. It shines through your eyes, through your voice, through your very presence. Darkness recognizes that light and trembles. You might notice strange resistance, moments where you suddenly feel drained, times when you pray and your mind wanders. You try to do something good, yet obstacles keep appearing from nowhere. These are not random accidents. They are reactions. Darkness reacts to awakening light. It tries to distract you, confuse you, delay you, but it cannot stop you. Because once the heart has been touched by divine remembrance, it cannot go back to sleep. The battle you feel around you is proof of how far you've already come. There are unseen beings who feed on fear, sadness, and chaos. So when your energy becomes peaceful, they lose access. They start to stir not because they have power, but because they are being pushed out. You are not cursed, you are being cleansed. You might cry for no reason. You might wake up in the middle of the night feeling uneasy. Sometimes you'll feel a heavy presence in the room, other times just a sense that something is shifting. Do not be afraid. Your soul is clearing the air around it. You are being prepared for a higher state of existence. When a heart begins to glow, it sends ripples into the unseen. Those ripples chase away what cannot survive in truth. That's why many people suddenly face storms right after they decide to change. The moment you step onto the path of light, you become visible to both angels and enemies. It's the cost of carrying radiance, but also the confirmation that you are protected by something greater. Imagine a candle lit in a cave. At first, the darkness swirls in confusion. It doesn't know where to hide. It becomes restless, chaotic, loud. That is what happens when your heart awakens. The same shadows that once lived quietly begin to panic. They know their time is ending. You will feel that panic as resistance. Old habits will try to pull you back. Certain friends will tempt you with your past. Your own mind will whisper, "What's the point? You'll never change." But every whisper of doubt is only the echo of fading darkness. It is proof that your light is working. Sometimes, people will mistake your silence for pride. They will call your distance strange. They won't understand why you've stopped laughing at old jokes, or why your soul now prefers the company of quiet. Let them talk. They are not meant to understand the language of those being reborn. The unseen world watches the same way people do. And when a soul begins to remember its purpose, the unseen either bows to it or flees from it. That's why you feel pressure. Not because you are weak, but because the world around you is adjusting to your light. Every kind act you do sends light outward. Every moment of gratitude builds a wall of safety around you. Even when you are tired, even when you make mistakes, your sincerity keeps shining. And sincerity is something no dark force can touch. You might wonder, why does God allow me to feel these attacks? Why not just protect me completely and make it easy? Because your awareness grows only through opposition. Without darkness, you'd never understand the weight of your light. Without resistance, you'd never discover how strong your soul truly is. The Jinn, the whispers, the sudden fears, they are part of the test that reveals your level of remembrance. You do not defeat them by force. You defeat them by staying calm, by knowing they exist but refusing to fear them, by keeping your peace even when your surroundings shake. That peace becomes a wall nothing unseen can pass. Your calmness is a language of light. Every deep breath you take in faith sends a message to the unseen. This heart belongs to the Almighty. You have no permission here. And when that message repeats enough, darkness leaves on its own, not by battle, but by starvation. You will learn that not every struggle is a curse. Some are invitations to see your inner strength. Some are reminders that you carry a purpose that darkness cannot stand. The resistance you feel is only the friction between who you were and who you're becoming. Your heart is expanding. Your energy is transforming. You are outgrowing the vibration of fear. And though it feels painful, you are walking into light too bright for the old world to follow. So, when you feel that heaviness, whisper gently to yourself, "This means I'm rising." When people misunderstand you, say, "This means my path is changing." When fear comes close, remind yourself, "It wouldn't approach me if I didn't shine." Because this is how the chosen are recognized, not by what they say, but by what their presence awakens in the unseen. You may not feel holy. You may still make mistakes, but purity is not perfection. It is persistence. The fact that you keep trying, that you keep turning back when you fall, that you keep seeking peace when the world pulls you toward noise, that's what builds light. And that light grows quietly, one small act of goodness at a time. A smile when you're hurting, a prayer when you feel alone, a kind word when you could have stayed silent. Every one of these moments becomes a spark. Together, they form the radiance that darkness cannot stand. Do not measure your progress by ease. Measure it by awareness. If you can now feel what is wrong, it's because your soul has become sensitive to truth. Sensitivity is a sign of awakening. It may hurt, but it's holy pain, pain that purifies. You are no longer invisible. Your name is known in realms you cannot see, and your light has begun to travel farther than your body ever could. Stay calm. Stay grounded. Your only task is to keep shining, even when the room grows darker, because the darkness reacts most violently right before it disappears. The storm that cleanses the chosen. Sometimes, before a heart is purified, it must be shaken. Before peace enters, the soul must be cleared of everything that isn't peace. And so, the storm begins. You wake up one day and nothing feels right. Your body is tired. Your mind feels heavy, and you can't explain why. You used to smile easily. Now silence feels safer. You used to laugh with friends, now their words tire you. You feel disconnected from people, from moments, from comfort, and you start to wonder, what's wrong with me? But nothing is wrong. You are being washed. You are being rebuilt. The storm around you isn't meant to destroy you. It's meant to cleanse you. When the divine chooses a soul for transformation, he doesn't send comfort first, he sends wind. He sends confusion, distance, loss, so the soul can no longer cling to what used to feed its illusions. The storm arrives to separate what must go from what must stay. Your pain is the echo of detachment. Everything false is breaking away. Everything heavy is being pulled out of your heart, sometimes violently, because it refused to leave gently. When you start walking toward truth, you will attract both blessings and resistance. It's not punishment, it's purification. The dirt rises before it can be removed. And in that rise, your whole world feels unsettled. You will feel emotions you never knew lived inside you. Anger, fear, sadness, frustration. They are not coming to destroy you, they are coming so you can finally see them. For years, they've hidden beneath distractions, beneath busyness, beneath pretending to be fine. Now that you've slowed down, they rise to be released. So, when you cry for no reason, when you can't explain why you feel empty, understand, your heart is detoxing. It is releasing poison from memories you never healed. It's letting go of energy that didn't belong to you. It's draining everything the darkness once whispered into your soul. Storms are messy, but they are also cleansing. They break what must end, so something pure can begin. You may lose friends in this stage. You may lose people who can't handle your silence. You may lose interest in things that once defined you. Let it all fall. Because the only thing the storm ever takes is what cannot go where you're headed next. You might sit in your room one night, head in your hands, asking, why me? Why now? And the answer is silent, but it's there. Because your time has come. Because your soul asked for peace, and peace cannot live where lies remain. To receive light, the vessel must be emptied. So, your heart, your mind, your environment, they are all being cleared out. The pain you feel is not a curse. It's proof of construction. The storm has no interest in your destruction. Its only goal is transformation. Every tear is a drop of the old world leaving your body. Every breakdown is a doorway to something unbreakable. And while the world may see you as lost, heaven sees you as mid-process. When lightning flashes in the night, don't cover your eyes. Watch closely. It's there to show you the truth that darkness hides. That's what pain does. It reveals what you couldn't see when life felt easy. You're not losing control. You're losing illusion. You're not falling apart. You're falling into place. The Jinn, the whispers, the strange heaviness, all of them lose their grip when you start to heal. They thrive on clutter, confusion, fear. So the moment your heart begins to clear, they panic. They try to hold on. That's why your thoughts become loud. That's why your sleep gets disturbed. Because what once had permission to live inside you is now being evicted. The body reacts fatigue, headaches, unease. But these are signs of release, not defeat. It's like the fever before healing. It burns so the body can return to balance. When a believer begins to remember who they are, darkness begins to remember who they serve. And that's when they scatter. Not because they're stronger, but because they know their time is up. In Sufi truth, storms are not your enemy. They are your teachers. They strip away false comfort so that what's real can finally breathe. Every storm that shakes your home, your family, your career, your identity is working for your awakening. You will not see it now. You will only feel the chaos. But one day, you'll look back and realize that everything that fell apart was actually falling into divine order. The storm removes the masks you wore to survive. It breaks the routines that numbed your awareness. It forces you to depend not on people, not on timing, not on luck, but on the one who controls the wind itself. Sometimes he lets the wind roar, just so you can finally learn that your anchor is him. He lets the waves rise, so you stop worshiping the calm. Because faith isn't built when the sky is blue. It's built when the sky falls apart, and you still whisper, I will survive this. That whisper is your victory. That tear is your graduation. The unseen world knows you are no longer the same. You are being cleaned by the very pain that tried to drown you. You are being reborn in the storm meant to bury you. The moment you stop fighting it, you will see its beauty. Because even storms serve the beloved. Even chaos bows to divine timing. It can only destroy what wasn't meant to stay. So let it rain. Let it thunder. Let everything false wash away. And when the morning comes, you'll realize the wind never wanted to kill you. It wanted to carry your soul to a place where peace finally makes sense. The voice that refuses to die. There are nights when you lie in silence, staring at the ceiling, and the world feels completely still, except for the noise inside your own chest. You've cried enough to fill oceans. You've begged for relief that never seemed to come. You've told yourself, maybe I'm done. Yet somehow, the next morning, you still whisper, I'll try again. That whisper, that tiny, quiet decision to rise, is the reason the darkness never wins. You may think it's your strength, but it isn't. It's a voice placed inside you by the one who refuses to let you drown. It's that same voice that speaks when you're too tired to pray, but your heart still aches for connection. It's the whisper that says, just breathe. It's the soft reminder that says, don't give up yet. Even when everything around you fades, this voice stays. It hides beneath the noise of fear, beneath the memories that try to chain you. But when you fall quiet, you can hear it again. The sound of hope that never truly left. Some people call it conscience, some call it intuition. The Sufis call it the breath of the beloved that never leaves the heart it once entered. You could bury it under years of pain, drown it beneath distractions, cover it with guilt, but it never dies. Because this voice is not human. It's mercy wearing your accent. It's the echo of light that lives in every believer. When you were created, you were given two sounds. One belongs to the world, and the other belongs to heaven. The world's sound gets louder through noise, opinion, and fear. But the heavenly sound, that soft inner pull toward goodness, cannot be erased. That's why, no matter what you've done, there's always something that pulls you back. A sudden memory, a line you hear by chance, a feeling that makes you pause and reflect. That's the voice trying to wake you again. It doesn't shout. It doesn't threaten. It just waits. Like a candle in a forgotten room, still burning, still ready to guide you home. You might notice it most when life breaks you. Because pain makes the world quiet, and quiet allows the soul to speak. The more everything else collapses, the clearer that inner whisper becomes. It tells you to breathe when you panic. It tells you to trust when you're afraid. It tells you to get up one more time when you swear you can't. That's the unseen mercy. That's divine protection disguised as thought. Every time you followed that gentle push, you walked out of something that was trying to destroy you. You may not have realized it, but that tiny obedience to the quiet voice saved your life again and again. Sometimes the voice feels distant, as if it left, but that's just the noise around it. The more noise you feed, the harder it is to hear. That's why the old saints loved silence, because silence isn't empty. It's full of messages you can't hear until the world stops shouting. In moments of sadness, when you say, I don't know what to do, that small pull toward kindness, that desire to forgive, that urge to breathe instead of break, that's the voice guiding you again. And when you finally listen, you begin to heal. Because the voice was never demanding perfection. It was inviting you to peace. No matter what you've done, no matter how far you've wandered, the voice still calls. Sometimes through a stranger's words, sometimes through a coincidence so gentle that you almost miss it. You'll see a message on a wall or hear a song lyric that feels personal. That's the beloved speaking in a language Only your soul understands. And every time you answer, even if it's just by smiling, or choosing patience, or sitting still instead of screaming, your light grows stronger. The unseen world notices that, too, because every time you listen to goodness, darkness loses its grip. It can't destroy someone who keeps returning to the quiet truth within. This is why you've survived what should have broken you. You've been sustained, not by willpower, but by whispers. The voice that refuses to die isn't just a part of you. It's the proof that you were never abandoned. It's the hand that reaches from within. Every time you think you've fallen too deep, there are moments when that voice feels like the only thing left alive in you. And that's enough. Because light doesn't need to shout, it only needs to exist. You are proof that even the smallest spark can defeat miles of darkness. You might still stumble, you might still cry, but as long as that inner call remains, you are protected. The storms can touch your body, the shadows can try to reach your thoughts, but they cannot touch that sacred flame. It burns quietly, waiting for you to notice, to nurture it, to let it grow again. So the next time you feel broken, don't ask, "Why am I weak?" Ask, "How is it that I'm still standing?" Because that's the miracle. Not that you avoided pain, but that pain couldn't erase your voice. You carry an inner compass that always points home. You may walk in circles, but it will always lead you back. And when you finally sit still, you'll hear it clearly again. The gentle truth, whispering, "You were never alone. You were never too far. You were never unloved." That is the voice that refuses to die. It's the evidence of mercy. It's the echo of a promise, made before you were even born, that your heart will always find its way back to light. The angels that guard the broken. There are nights when you fall asleep with tears still warm on your face. You don't even realize you've drifted off. You just run out of strength mid-prayer. The world has taken everything, and you think, "Who could possibly still be here for me?" But the unseen is already moving, because the moment a sincere tear leaves your eyes, the heavens respond. You may not see it, but around you, something invisible begins to gather soft wings, light that hums instead of shines. The broken attract guardians. Angels love the sound of honesty. They are drawn to hearts that tremble, yet still whisper gratitude. When you cry in silence, they come quietly, not to be noticed, but to cover you. Your bed becomes a sanctuary. The air shifts. The darkness that pressed against your walls only a moment ago begins to fade. You feel a slight warmth where there was only cold. That's not imagination. That's compassion in motion. Sometimes, the protection doesn't look like light. It looks like survival. You wake up after another night of sadness, and somehow you're still breathing, still willing to try. That strength you think comes from nowhere is carried to you. Every believer who feels abandoned is never actually alone. The unseen watch over them, whispering calm into their heartbeat. When panic starts to rise, a stillness suddenly interrupts it. That's the shield at work. When you stumble, when you feel your chest tighten, remember, mercy does not need permission to enter a room. It slips in through cracks in your faith, wraps itself around what's left of you, and waits until you can stand again. You may think angels only guard the pure, but it's the wounded they guard most closely. Because pain is a kind of prayer too, a cry from the depths that reaches places even words cannot. Every night, you whisper your worries into the air. Someone carries them upward. Each sigh you release becomes a message, not lost, not ignored, delivered with perfect accuracy to the one who listens. You have lived through days that should have broken you. You've seen moments where everything felt hollow, yet somehow you kept going. That somehow is a story written in light. The guardians walk beside you in ways you'd never guess. Through a stranger's kindness, through a sudden delay that saves you, through a gentle thought that says, wait, take a breath. They don't always use miracles. Sometimes they use timing. When you miss a bus that later crashes, when you turn down a road because of a feeling, when an idea arrives at just the right second, that's how protection moves. It's never loud. It's precise. It operates in silence because faith grows best there. The unseen protectors don't remove pain entirely. They make sure it never drowns you. They let the rain fall, but they keep you from being swept away. They let the night stretch long, but they guard the flame of hope inside it. When you fall asleep, reciting thoughts of peace, they stand where fear once stood. Every soft breath you take becomes a rhythm they guard to. Until morning, they remain. If you've ever felt a sudden sense of calm in the middle of chaos, that's them touching your heart. If you've ever been at the edge of giving up and something inside whispered, hold on, that's them lifting you slightly above the weight of the world. They cannot stop life from being hard, but they can make sure you're never destroyed by it. Because every soul that chooses light attracts defenders of light. You may not hear their wings, but you feel the absence of fear when they arrive. You feel your breathing slow. You feel the room soften. And that is the sign that mercy has entered again. So, the next time you break down, don't apologize for your tears. They are signals. They summon what you cannot see. Heaven listens to the language of sincerity. Even in public places, when you hold yourself together for too long, and one tear escapes anyway, that's the moment they gather around you again, reminding you that weakness is not failure. It's a call answered instantly in the unseen. You are protected in ways you could never design for yourself. Protection that doesn't depend on your strength, but on your honesty. Because truth invites help faster than perfection ever could. Every act of patience becomes a wall around you. Every quiet surrender becomes armor. Every small act of forgiveness adds another layer of light. And when darkness tries to enter, it burns before reaching you. This is why you keep surviving what others don't understand. Why you've had close calls yet always find a way out. Why just when you reach your limit, a door appears. Because you are being watched. Not by judgment, but by compassion. So, tonight, when you lie in bed feeling small, when you whisper, I can't do this anymore, know that your words are never lost in the dark. They rise instantly, and the response returns just as quickly, not always as sound, sometimes as peace. You are being guarded right now, even as you read these words. The unseen remembers every tear, every breath, every prayer you never finished. You are safe in ways your eyes will never measure. And the proof of it is simple. You are still here. The heaviness before the healing. There are seasons in life when even breathing feels heavy. You wake up, and it's like something invisible is sitting on your chest. You don't know why. You slept. You prayed. You tried. But the weight doesn't leave. You start to ask, what's wrong with me? Why do I feel tired all the time? Why does joy feel so far away? Why does everything small feel like too much? It's not weakness. It's not punishment. It's healing. It just doesn't look like healing yet. Real healing rarely feels soft in the beginning. It feels like exhaustion, confusion, silence. Because before light can enter a wound, everything rotten inside has to come out, and that release is heavy. It drains you. It shakes your thoughts. It forces your soul to face what it once ignored. You start to see pieces of yourself you don't like. Old anger, hidden grief, jealousy, guilt. They rise to the surface, not to embarrass you, but to free you. Every emotion you thought you'd buried was never gone, just quiet. Now, in this stage, the heart begins cleaning itself. And cleaning always makes a mess before it brings order. You might cry more often. You might feel disconnected from people. You might prefer solitude. That's not depression, that's detox. Your soul is emptying everything heavy it has carried for years. Think of it like a deep tissue massage for the spirit. The knots must be pressed before they dissolve. The pain you feel now is the sign of something loosening inside you. Sometimes healing looks like sitting alone with thoughts you used to run from. Sometimes it's staring at the same sky and realizing you don't have the energy to pretend anymore. Sometimes it's saying nothing because silence feels kinder than explaining yourself again. And that's okay, because the healer works best in silence. You don't have to fight this stage. You just have to let it happen. Let the sadness pour out without labeling it. Let the confusion rise without judging it. Let the fatigue come and go. Every wave is washing something away. At night, when you lie there feeling like your heart is sinking, remember, weight leaves slowly. Healing is not a switch, it's a sunrise. You don't notice when darkness fades. You just wake one day to softer light. Your body also joins the process. It may feel weak because energy once used to hold pain in place is now being spent to push it out. The trembling, the restlessness, the sudden need to sleep more. That's the system rebooting. This is the mercy inside the struggle. The universe doesn't heal through shortcuts. It heals through truth, and truth always feels heavy at first. You may think you're falling apart, but you're actually falling open. The walls you built to survive are finally crumbling, and underneath them is the real you, breathing again. When you reach that point of emotional exhaustion, where you say, "I have nothing left," you are closer to peace than ever before, because healing begins the moment resistance ends. Tears are medicine. They carry toxins out of your body. They're not proof of weakness. They're proof of release. Every time you cry, you cleanse. Every time you rest, you reset. Every time you admit, "I can't do this alone," you invite unseen help. And unseen help always answers. You are not losing control. You are losing what was controlling you. That sadness you keep feeling, it isn't here to destroy you. It's the soul asking for space to breathe. You can't rush this process. You can't fake calmness while you're still carrying pain. The only way out is through. But through doesn't mean forever. This heaviness will lift, slowly but surely. One morning, you'll wake up and realize your thoughts don't hurt as much. The memories will still be there, but they won't sting. You'll walk outside, feel the breeze, and your body will remember what peace feels like. Until then, treat yourself like soft glass. Don't demand smiles. Allow pauses. Don't force answers. Allow breathing. Healing is patient, you must be too. The divine never wastes pain. Every ache has a reason. Every silence hides construction. Every delay hides protection. While you think nothing is happening, everything is. Your mind is learning to rest. Your body is learning safety. Your heart is learning balance again. And though it feels lonely, you are surrounded. There is an entire unseen world cheering for you, saying, "Keep going, you're almost through." When the weight feels unbearable, whisper softly, "This is just the middle, not the end." Because heaviness is always the middle. The end is lighter, always. Remember the seed buried in soil. It must break to sprout. It must lose its old shape before life can push through. You are that seed. Breaking doesn't mean dying. It means beginning. And when you finally bloom, you'll understand why the darkness had to press so deep. Because roots can only grow in silence. So, if tonight feels heavy, don't hate the weight. It's shaping you. It's teaching your heart how to breathe differently. It's preparing you for days where peace will not feel fragile anymore. You are being strengthened quietly in ways you will only recognize after the storm has passed. The heaviness you feel right now is not the absence of healing. It's the proof that healing has begun. When remembrance becomes fire, there are moments when words feel useless, when your voice cracks mid-sentence and you realize that what you really need to say has no sound. You sit alone in the dark, hands resting on your knees, heart beating faster than your thoughts. And then it happens. You remember. At first, it's gentle, a quiet thought, a soft turning of the mind back toward the One. But the more you lean into it, the more alive it becomes. That simple act of remembering starts as a spark, a single breath of meaning in a world that forgot what meaning feels like. And before you know it, the spark becomes warmth, the warmth becomes flame, and the flame becomes your truth. Remembrance is not repetition, it's awakening. It's when the heart finally answers the question the world has been too loud to ask. Every time you whisper gratitude, a light flickers in the unseen. Every time you speak kindness, a small flame pushes back the dark, and the unseen world feels it. It recognizes the sound of someone returning home. You may think your small acts go unnoticed, a sigh turned into a prayer, a tired smile you still give to someone else. But the unseen counts every one of them. Each is fuel for the fire that protects you. Remembrance burns away the fog that once ruled your mind. You start to notice what you couldn't see before, how often you used to fill silence with fear, how much peace you used to ignore. It's strange how the heart changes once it starts remembering. The things that once entertained you begin to taste bland. The people who gossip no longer sound fun, they sound tired. The habits that once helped you escape now feel heavy in your hands. That's what light does. It changes the flavor of everything. At first, this fire frightens you. You think, why can't I enjoy what everyone else enjoys? But that question is itself the answer. You were never meant to be everyone else. The fire has started, and nothing ordinary can feed it. It doesn't make you perfect. It makes you aware. You start noticing how easily words can wound, how quickly the mind runs to judgment, how fragile peace really is. Awareness hurts at first, but that pain is purification. The Sufis say that real remembrance burns hotter than sin, because once the heart catches flame, nothing false can survive inside it. So, if life suddenly feels too intense, too emotional, too raw, too honest, it's not because you're breaking down. It's because your inner fire has reached places that were frozen. You're thawing, and thawing hurts. Numbness was safer, but safety never set anyone free. When you sit quietly and let the memories rise, they sting, they burn, they ache. That's the fire cleaning out the corners of your past. Every time you forgive, the flame flares brighter. Every time you stop explaining yourself, it burns away pride. Every time you let silence win, it consumes ego. This is what transformation looks like. It's not loud. It's not dramatic. It's a quiet blaze beneath the ribs, turning pain into clarity, anger into patience, and fear into calm. Sometimes you'll feel heat during prayer. Sometimes you'll cry for no reason halfway through. Sometimes your breath will tremble even though the room is still. That's not weakness. That's contact. That's your soul touching light after years of darkness. The first time it happens, you'll want to stop it. You'll think, this is too much. But don't. Let it happen. Let the fire spread until it finds everything that once hurt you. Because once it touches those places, they stop bleeding. Remembrance isn't about being religious enough. It's about being real enough. It's about looking at the chaos inside you and choosing to light a candle instead of curse the dark. And the more you remember, the stronger the fire becomes. It starts protecting you without effort. Temptations lose their grip. The same thoughts that once scared you now melt the moment they appear. Because the truth is simple. Darkness cannot enter a heart already on fire. There will still be bad days. You'll still get angry, still make mistakes, but you'll recover faster. You'll forgive sooner. You'll apologize easier, because the flame inside you makes you sensitive to peace. It reminds you every time you drift away. It whispers, "Come back," and you do, again and again, until returning becomes easier than running. That's when you realize something incredible. You no longer chase the light. You are the light. You walk into rooms and people feel calmer. You speak and arguments cool down. You smile and others feel safer. That's not charisma. That's the fire working through you. It doesn't show off. It serves. It doesn't boast. It heals. It doesn't need attention. It creates it naturally. Even when you're exhausted, your presence carries warmth, because remembrance has rewritten your energy. When you fall, it burns softly until you rise. When you forget, it glows quietly until you remember again. This is how divine love stays alive in a human being. You become like a lantern walking through a storm. The wind screams, the rain pours, but the flame inside never goes out. It bends, it flickers, but it endures. And that endurance becomes your identity. If you've ever wondered why people feel peaceful around you, even when you say nothing, it's because peace has started living inside you. It radiates without effort. You used to think remembrance was a duty. Now you realize it's oxygen. Without it, you suffocate in noise. With it, you breathe clarity. The more you remember, the more you love. Not because you're trying to, but because love is the natural smoke of the fire. It rises on its own. You stop judging so much. You start seeing everyone as wounded travelers. Even those who wrong you, you can't fully hate them anymore. The fire melts that too. And this is how the soul heals. Not through logic, but through warmth. So, keep remembering, even when you don't feel anything. Because the fire doesn't need feeling to burn. It only needs presence. Every breath that holds awareness is fuel. Every quiet moment of gratitude is oil. Every act of patience is oxygen. And together, they keep the flame alive. One day, you'll look back and realize the heat that once hurt you was the same heat that healed you. That the fire that scared you became the light that guided you. That remembrance was never about words. It was always about returning, the divine exchange. There comes a season when life begins to take things from your hands, not to punish you, to trade. At first, it feels like loss. A friend grows distant for no clear reason. A door you were sure would open does not. Money gets tight. Plans fall apart in slow motion. You sit in the quiet and think, why is everything leaving me? But the truth is softer than your fear. What leaves is often what cannot carry you where you are meant to go. What stays is what is safe for your next chapter. This is the divine exchange. It happens like the turning of a tide. You can't command the ocean. You can only learn to float with it. Every wave that pulls something away is making room for a wave that will carry you further. When protection arrives, it rarely says its name. It comes dressed as delay. It comes dressed as a breakup. It comes dressed as, not this time. You think you are being pushed out of your story, but you are being moved to the right page. Think of a garden. A gardener cuts branches not to harm the tree, but to help it breathe, to let the light in, to make fruit possible. Pruning looks like loss to a leaf, but the tree understands. This is how I grow. You are that garden. Some people were shade that blocked your Sunday. Some habits were vines around your ribs. Some dreams were heavy fruit that never ripened. So the gardener began to cut. You felt the sharpness of change and called it cruelty. But look closer. After every cut, air reached places that had been choking. After every goodbye, you discovered a part of yourself that had been waiting to breathe. The exchange works in secret details. You miss a call and avoid a fight. You take a different route and dodge the accident. A no lands in your inbox, and a better yes finds you later. Protection moves like a careful hand, setting pieces where you can't see the board. You will think, I wasted months on this person, but the exchange returns time and wisdom. You will think, I lost money on that plan, but the exchange returns wealth and clarity. You will think, my heart broke for nothing, but the exchange returns strength you didn't know existed. There is always a return, not always in the same shape, but always equal in mercy. Listen to how your body reacts around certain places and faces. Tight chest, racing thoughts, a smile that feels forced. That is not being dramatic. That is information. Sometimes, the exchange begins by teaching you to trust the signals you keep ignoring. You pray for peace, and people who profit from your chaos begin to fade. You ask for truth, and masks start slipping off. You ask for guidance, and the road that kept you small begins to close. You call it loss. Heaven calls it answer. Do not chase what tries to leave you while you are rising. The air is thinner on the mountain. Not everything is built to breathe there. A job can be a room with no windows. A friendship can be a locked door you keep painting to make it pretty. A habit can be a chain disguised as comfort. The exchange takes the key from your hand and slides it into a door you never noticed. You will want to run back to the old room. It is familiar. It smells like yesterday. But notice how small it feels now. How you have to hunch your back to fit the ceiling. Growth is the ache of standing up straight. There is a tenderness in the way protection works. It does not rip everything away at once. It loosens the knot until it falls apart. It lets you see the truth in pieces you can handle. It gives you pauses to breathe between goodbyes. The exchange also cleans your language. You stop saying, why me? You start saying, what is this teaching me? You stop saying, I lost everything. You start saying, I am being realigned. Notice the small mercies hidden in the day. The message that arrives at the exact moment you were about to break. The stranger who treats you with unusual kindness. The sudden urge to rest instead of push. These are not random. They are the new currency of your life. Quiet help, soft rescue, gentle redirection. There is a pattern to every exchange. First comes the shake, then the reveal, then the rebuild. The shake makes you let go. The reveal shows you why. The rebuild gives you better. During the shake, your mind will try to bargain. It will say, I'll change. Just let me keep this. But the exchange is not a punishment plan. It's a safety plan. It removes what won't change, so you are free to. You might feel lonely. That is common. Emptiness is the hallway between old rooms and new ones. Don't decorate the hallway. Keep walking. There is a gentler power rising in you now. You speak less to prove yourself. You explain less to be understood. You choose silence over small battles. You pick peace over being right. These are signs of upgrade. Your value system is being rewritten. Watch how your standards change. You stop accepting love that only loves your pretty parts. You stop celebrating wins that cost your soul too much. You stop chasing rooms that require you to shrink. This is not arrogance. This is alignment. The divine exchange returns you to your natural size, not bigger than others, just no longer smaller than yourself. It also returns your time. You no longer sit where your spirit falls asleep. You no longer feed what starves you. You forgive to cut the rope, not to reopen the door. You learn that closure is a choice, not a ceremony. Some nights, you will miss what hurt you. This is honest. Pain has a memory, so does comfort. When the ache visits, hold it like rain on the window. Watch it pass. Don't climb outside to chase a cloud. Trust shows up in simple actions. You rest before you break. You pause before you reply. You leave before you are left. You bless what leaves, and you bless what arrives. There is a moment in every exchange when the scales flip. You notice you are not begging anymore. You notice you are not proving anymore. You notice a new steadiness in your chest. This is the hinge of the door. You are crossing it. People may not understand the new you. That is normal. Your healing threatens the contracts their fear made with your old self. Wish them well. Keep walking. You will start meeting different kinds of people. Quieter rooms. Simpler joy. Friendships that don't demand your mask as entry fee. Work that doesn't bleed your spirit dry. These are the returns of the exchange. Notice how life feels when it fits. Your laugh comes back. Your breath deepens. Your shoulders drop. You don't scan the room for danger. You are the calm you once begged for. Even your prayers change shape. They stop sounding like rescue requests and start sounding like conversations between friends. You thank more. You ask wiser. You listen longer. The divine exchange also heals your view of yourself. You stop calling your sensitivity a flaw. You stop calling your boundaries selfish. You stop calling your slowness lazy. You see the design: soft heart, clear line, steady pace. This is how you last. If you feel guilty for outgrowing what once fit, remember, a river that reaches the sea does not apologize to the stones it passes. It was always meant to move. What about the dreams that didn't happen? Some were seeds for soil you have not reached yet. Some were training weights to build your strength. Some were mirrors that showed you what you truly value. None were wasted. The hardest part of the exchange is trusting timing. You will want proof before you let go. You will want guarantees before you step. But growth is a door that only opens from the side you cannot see. You walk, and then it appears. If you need a simple way to travel this season, try this. Choose what brings you peace over what brings you attention. Choose what grows your courage over what feeds your fear. Choose what returns you to yourself over what asks you to perform. These choices are prayers with feet. And when doubt visits at midnight, place your hand on your chest and feel the rhythm. That steady beat is a promise. You are still being carried, even here, even now. Remember the law of sacred trade. For every honest release, there is a holy return. Maybe not today, maybe not in the shape you expect, but always, and exactly when it protects you most. You will not be emptied forever. The cup is being washed. Fresh water is on its way. So bless the closed doors. Bless the quiet rooms. Bless the days that feel like pause. They are all part of the careful exchange that takes what harms you and gives you back what is truly yours. When the morning finally comes, and it will, you will look at your life and see new patterns. Less noise, more meaning. Less chase, more clarity. Less fear, more truth. And you will say, with a calm you earned, I didn't lose my life. I found it. If you are standing at the edge right now, don't jump backward into yesterday. Step forward. Trust the hands you cannot see. The divine never takes without giving better. The exchange is already in motion. Let it finish its work. When the first quiet after the storm finally comes, you start noticing how empty space feels different. Not hollow clean. The silence that once scared you now rests on your skin like sunlight. It's then you realize the exchange didn't end, it only changed phase. You begin to receive, not all at once, piece by piece, moment by moment. Little coincidences start appearing like small birds after rain. A message that answers a private thought. A stranger's kindness on the day you needed proof that goodness still exists. A delay that turns out to be protection. These are not small things. They are the first returns of surrender. The divine has a rhythm. Give, pause, return. The pause feels like absence, but it's actually alignment. You were being recalibrated so that what comes next can land without breaking you. Look at how your own breath works. Inhale, hold, exhale. The hold is necessary for balance. The exchange follows the same pattern. At first, receiving feels strange. After long seasons of surviving, ease feels suspicious. You catch yourself looking for problems in peaceful moments. But that's just memory talking. Let it unlearn. The new life entering you speaks softly. Rest now. You've earned quiet. Love now. You're safe to feel again. It doesn't rush. It reintroduces gentleness, a heartbeat at a time. You will notice blessings arriving through people who don't demand masks. They laugh easily. They listen without fixing. They leave space for you to be unfinished. This, too, is part of the exchange. You lost noise and gain nourishment. Sometimes, what returns is not physical at all. It's an emotion you thought was gone forever. Curiosity, joy, wonder. You catch yourself humming again while washing dishes. You look at the sky and it feels wide instead of heavy. That's healing, proving itself through ordinary moments. Money may come back, but with purpose this time. Opportunities reappear, but they match your peace instead of stealing it. The same world that once felt sharp now feels balanced. Nothing outside changed dramatically. You changed quietly inside, and the world adjusted to your new frequency. There will still be tests. The divine doesn't remove contrast, it teaches balance. Old temptations will revisit just to see if you still fit them. Smile kindly at them and walk past. That's the sign that the lesson's settled. As your calm grows deeper, new responsibility comes with it. You start to notice others standing where you once stood, confused, hurting, afraid. You become their signpost. Not because you preach, but because your stillness speaks louder than words. This is how the exchange multiplies. What healed you now heals through you. You learn to bless without needing thanks, to give without fear of losing, to love without demanding to be loved back. That's when you realize the divine never wanted to trade things. He wanted to trade versions. The one who depended on approval for peace was exchanged for the one who carries peace within. The one who chased recognition was exchanged for the one who works quietly and rests deeply. The one who lived in reaction was exchanged for the one who responds with understanding. Every layer you shed was returned as light. Every tear became comprehension. Every heartbreak became space for compassion. When you walk now, you move differently. Not faster, but steadier. The rush is gone. You are no longer running toward. You are walking with. Even your prayers change tone. They used to sound like, "Please, fix this." Now they sound like, "Thank you for knowing what I don't." That shift is the highest currency of the exchange. It buys peace that no chaos can steal. Eventually, gratitude stops needing reasons. You wake up thankful just because the air is quiet, because water tastes clear, because existence itself feels gentle again. That's when you know the exchange is complete for now. Not everything will make sense, and not every loss will find a mirror return. Some were not meant to be replaced. Some were meant to leave space in you, so light could live there permanently. So, if your life feels lighter now, if you laugh without rehearsing, if your shoulders no longer rise when you hear your name, congratulations. You have lived through sacred surgery, and if you are still in the middle of it, if the trade still hurts, keep breathing, keep letting go when your hands want to clench, because soon you'll see. The divine never subtracts to punish. He subtracts to simplify. He takes only what hides the truth of you and returns only what honors it. That's the divine exchange. You give what you thought was everything, and you receive what was always meant to be yours. Peace that stays, clarity that doesn't depend on answers, and love that finally feels like home. You were born to withstand fire. There are souls that were never meant to live simple stories. They carry a different weight, a different heat, as if life itself keeps testing how much light they can hold before they break. You might be one of them. Everything about your path feels harder. Nothing ever comes easily. People misunderstand you. Peace visits and then leaves again. You rebuild yourself over and over. And sometimes you whisper, "Why me?" But what if this isn't punishment? What if this is training? What if you were designed to walk through fire and not burn? Look back at every collapse you've survived. Every heartbreak that didn't end you. Every betrayal that tried to turn your heart to stone but didn't. You bend, but you never stay broken. You cry, but you never lose compassion. That's not luck. That's purpose. You were built from a stronger element. Others see flame and run. You walk into it, trembling but steady, and somehow you come out brighter. The world calls that resilience. Heaven calls it design. Because some souls are forged like metal. They need the heat to reveal their strength. Without pressure, they stay dull. Without challenge, they stay hidden. Every trial that scared you was actually a furnace. Every disappointment was a fire meant to reshape you. Every loss was sandpaper, polishing your heart into something pure. The divine never meant for your life to be soft. He meant for your spirit to be sacred. And sacred things are never formed in comfort. They are carved, tested, and tempered. You might think the storm came to destroy you, but it came to show you who you are. Fire doesn't just burn, it reveals what cannot be burned. When everything around you crumbles, when people you love walk away, when you look at your reflection and don't recognize it anymore, that's when the whisper arrives. Not in thunder, but in quiet truth. You were born for this. That whisper lives somewhere behind your ribs. It doesn't scream, it hums. It waits for the moment you're about to give up, and then it speaks. Keep walking. You obey, not because you feel strong, but because something greater moves your feet. And every step through that fire burns away what isn't really you. The pain that you thought was punishment is actually purification. It strips away the false layers, the fear, the pride, the approval addiction. It leaves you naked, but in that nakedness, you finally see the truth. You were never fragile. You were only covered in things that were. When you stop fighting the flames, they stop chasing you. You begin to see their purpose. You begin to say, "This hurts, but I understand." And that understanding changes everything. People will look at you and say, "How did you survive that?" They won't believe the calm in your eyes. They won't understand that you found peace inside what once terrified you. Because after a certain amount of fire, fear loses its language. You've heard every scream already. You've walked through every kind of night. There's nothing left to scare you. That's why storms now sound like symphonies. That's why silence no longer feels empty. Because you've met both and realized neither can erase what was written for you. The strongest souls don't come from easy stories. They come from shattered beginnings that turned into sacred awakenings. They come from hands that learned to pray when there was nothing left to hold. You are one of those souls. The proof is simple. You're still here, still searching for meaning, still soft enough to care, still brave enough to love again. Fire didn't harden you. It refined you. It taught you compassion for those still burning. It taught you humility for those still learning. It taught you silence where you once needed to shout. Every scar you carry is an alphabet of survival. Every mark is a verse written by endurance. If you could read your own history through heaven's eyes, you'd fall to your knees in awe, because every flame that touched you was timed with mercy. There were days you almost lost your mind, yet something invisible held you back from falling completely. That something is the hand that never leaves. It's the unseen thread tying you to purpose. And now, as the fire cools around you, you begin to notice the glow under the ashes. That glow is your soul's new shape, sharper, softer, wiser. You no longer fear endings. You've lived through too many. You no longer crave constant approval. You've learned how heavy masks can be. You no longer chase what leaves easily. You've seen that what is meant for you always stays. You've learned that sometimes protection arrives as pain, that sometimes saving looks like loss, that sometimes the only way to rise is to burn away everything holding you down. This is why life keeps putting you in heat, because you carry a purpose too pure to be molded by comfort. The fire is not against you. It is for you. It is the forge that turns ordinary souls into living light. And though the world may call you broken, heaven calls you proof. Proof that human hearts can walk through flame and still choose kindness. So when the next trial comes, when life starts shaking again, don't say, "Not again." Say, "Here, it is my next rebirth." Because that's what it is. Another layer being stripped away. Another chance to remember how unshakable you really are. And at the end of it, when the smoke clears, you'll look back at everything that tried to destroy you and realize they all worked for your evolution. None of them won. You are the evidence that light can live inside chaos, that faith can survive the furnace, that mercy can speak even in the middle of fire. You were not just chosen to withstand it. You were chosen to become it, to turn pain into light, to turn scars into strength, to turn fire into guidance for those still lost in their smoke. And one day, when someone asks you, "How did you keep going?" you'll smile gently and say, "I stopped trying to escape the fire. I learned that I was made of it." When the blaze that once frightened you finally quiets, there is a different silence waiting. Not the silence of emptiness, but the silence of understanding. You stand among the ashes and realize nothing essential was ever burned. The only things that disappeared were the illusions that once told you you were small, helpless, or incomplete. This is how fire teaches love. It doesn't hand you comfort. It hands you truth. And truth, when it first touches the heart, stings like heat, then softens into warmth. You begin to see how every loss aligned you. Every closed door steered you. Every heartbreak purified your intentions. Each spark that hurt you was actually light, searching for its home inside you. When people leave, their absence clears the space where guidance wants to sit. When dreams collapse, their dust becomes the soil of wisdom. Even regret becomes gentle fertilizer, feeding new growth you couldn't imagine before. The fire did not come to punish your heart. It came to rebuild its walls in light. Each flame that reached for you was commanded to stop at your core, never crossing the line where mercy lives. So you survived. Not because you fought harder than everyone else, but because grace kept saying, "Not this one. This one still has work to do." From that realization, gratitude grows quietly. You start thanking even the hard memories. You whisper, "That betrayal woke me. That loss humbled me. That mistake taught me discernment." And every thank you cools another ember of anger. Now, the same world that once scorched you feels different beneath your feet. You walk slower. You notice colors again. You taste water like a blessing. You find beauty hiding in ordinary corners. The senses you thought trauma had stolen return one by one, washed and new. People begin to sense it too. They can't explain why your presence feels calm, but it does. It's because you no longer leak fear. You carry quiet. You radiate steadiness, born from surviving your own storms. The fire that once consumed you has become a small flame you carry in your chest. It lights your path, warms your voice, and burns only when you forget who you are. It is not your enemy anymore. It is your reminder. And now, that reminder calls you to serve. Not through grand speeches, but through small acts done with sincerity. A kind word to someone drowning in self-doubt. A steady gaze that says, I understand. A calm silence that lets others rest. You become the refuge you once begged for. That is the highest transformation, when the survivor becomes shelter. You don't need titles for this work, you just need presence. Because people remember energy more than advice, and yours now carries the scent of endurance. Every time you choose patience instead of anger, forgiveness instead of revenge, understanding instead of pride, you spread sparks of that same fire. Not the fire that destroys, but the fire that enlightens. This is how the divine uses the healed ones. They walk through the world, quietly turning wounds into lamps. Every person who meets them leaves a little warmer. There will still be days when the flame flickers, when exhaustion visits, when you forget your own strength. That's all right. Even the sun sets to rise again. Your light rests. It never disappears. When you feel the old heat returning, the fear, the doubt, the noise, remember, you've walked through worse. You carry proof under your skin. You are no longer learning how to survive fire. You are learning how to use it. You channel it into passion for what is right. You pour it into work that uplifts. You let it melt your arrogance, ignite your compassion, and forge your purpose. This is the stage of mastery, when suffering transforms into service, when pain becomes power, handled gently. That once said, "You were born to withstand fire," now says something new. You were born to guide others through it. You are the torchbearer in a world of frightened hearts. Your story is the evidence that darkness can be walked through. Your eyes hold maps for those still lost in smoke. You don't even need to speak. Your calmness translates. And the world needs that calm now more than ever. Not loud heroes, steady ones. Not perfect souls, honest ones. You have become both. So, when the next trial comes, when the air grows hot and heavy again, don't shrink back. Close your eyes, breathe, and whisper, "I've been here before. I know this heat. It's only reshaping me again." Then walk straight through it, head high, heart open, trusting the same mercy that carried you last time. Because you are living proof of the oldest truth. Fire cannot destroy what was made of light, and that is what you are now. Light, walking in human form, bright enough to guide, humble enough to keep glowing quietly. When your final storm ends, you'll look back and see a trail of embers behind you, each one marking a person you helped stand again. That's when you'll understand the full secret of the fire. It never wanted to consume you. It wanted to turn you into a flame that never dies. Now that you've heard every sign, think about it. How many of them have you lived through? The sleepless nights, the unexplained heaviness, the dreams that left you shaking, the moments you almost lost yourself but somehow didn't. None of it was random. None of it was meaningless. You weren't being punished. You were being protected. The Jinn didn't attack you because you were weak. They attacked you because you were glowing. The more your soul turned toward Allah, the louder your light became in the unseen. And every dark force that once lived quietly around you had no choice but to react. But listen carefully. They never won. You're still here. You still pray. You still whisper His name. You still return to peace after every storm. That's not survival, that's victory. You've become something the unseen can't extinguish. A soul that carries remembrance like fire. Every time they tried to break you, you came back brighter. Every time they whispered fear, you answered with faith. Every time they pushed you toward despair, you found a reason to hope again. And now, the heavens watch you with pride. The angels that guarded you in silence smile quietly, because you finally see what they always knew. You were never alone. The darkness that once hunted you became the mirror that revealed your strength. And the pain that once silenced you became the prayer that reached the highest place. You were never meant to live an ordinary life. You were meant to walk through fire, and come out carrying light for those still trapped in smoke. So tonight, when you close your eyes, don't fear what moves in the unseen. Fear only forgetting who you are. Because the one who created both light and darkness is the same one who placed power inside your soul. Power that no jinn, no whisper, no curse can ever remove. You are not just protected, you are chosen. Chosen to rise, chosen to see, chosen to remind others that faith isn't fragile, it's fireproof. So the next time the night feels heavy, whisper this truth to yourself. If the darkness still comes for me, it means my light still threatens it. Let that be your comfort. Let that be your courage. Because even the shadows know you were born to withstand fire, and fire only purifies gold.